Yeah, yeah. It's the TANG gang. Yeah, it's the TANG gang. TANG gang. It's the TANG gang. TANG gang. Yeah, it's the TANG gang. TANG gang. Yeah, it's the TANG gang. TANG gang. Yeah, it's the TANG gang. Yeah, it's the TANG gang. TANG gang. TANG gang. TANG gang. Yeah, it's the TANG gang. Yeah, I got an idea. Let's take these beliefs and bad ideas and let's stack them up. Stack them up and see if these people can back them up. And if not, this is what you can do, is just pack them up and go on your way. Cause you should have known, everybody at TANG, we don't play now. Yeah, we need that evidence. We need that evidence to make shit relevant. What you saying? What you saying, man? Can you prove it? What you doing? Let's do it. Y'all already know. Y'all already know. TANG gang. 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 Y'all already know. Y'all already know. TANG gang.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Atheist Network Group. Your boy Oz here with you, per the usual. And we have the gynecologist, Dr. Joshua Bowen. What's up, Josh?
Hey, sorry, I'm just sitting here doodling. I've got problems.
Got problems, son. Got problems. So how you feeling?
Yeah, I'm okay. Tired, but I feel like I say that all the time.
Well, you have twins in the house.
But yeah, some pretty cool news. Finished volume 2 of this today. I finished my part of it, I guess. So now it's turned over to Megan. She's gonna make it perfect.
Perfecto.
Oh yeah.
Perfecto. There's something I was gonna mention now. I can't remember, but what's up to everybody in the chat? Hopefully you did your himmity homework. This class is about to
I'm sure they did.
And before we get into the business, I think most people now are aware, but I just want to make sure we keep putting it out there for a good minute. That way we cover all of our bases. But we did postpone Better, our in-person event that was supposed to be in less than 30 days now. We've pushed it to May 6th, 7th, and 8th of 2022. And I'll be getting with our team this week to create some new graphics and everything. There's a couple things we do have to move around, but location, everything remains the same. So if you did get a hotel room and all that, you don't have to worry about any of that. But yeah, if anything, gives us several more months to make it even more better.
The better estest.
Yeah.
Sure.
Gynecologist.
Jeez. I don't think that happened, but
yeah, so I'll put the link in the chat here. The reservations are still available because the event was not canceled. It was simply postponed. So you still get that. And now, for those that already bought the tickets, you're going to get a little more bang for your buck because we're adding a day and we're adding 2, maybe 3 other speakers to the lineup, and so you're gonna get more for the money. So, and then be on the lookout as we start to contact some other of these guests to bring them in, and we'll have a blast in the spring.
Hell yeah.
We'll get sprung. I don't even know if that's a thing, but we about to get sprung. But this is lesson 3 from Dr. Josh's book, Learning to Read Ancient Sumerian. And so far, I've felt confident. This chapter kind of wrecked my brain a little bit, but I know Dr. Josh is here to rescue my brain. So, Dr. Josh,
this is definitely when I was trying to learn it on my own. This is where I got lost. This part. So this is the tough part.
Yep, that one was like, yeah, I should probably read that for the 21st time and watch Josh's video for the 8,000th time.
But after tonight, you're going to be like, oh, got it.
Well, then the floor is yours, sir. Let's do the damn thing.
Word. I guess I should show people what I was doodling. You guys can see my amazing artistic skill. Yeah, that's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle.
I knew it was. I didn't even have to ask.
All right. Anyway, now that everybody's thoroughly impressed with my.
But which turtle?
I don't know. I always draw Michelangelo because it's just yeah. But I can imagine that you would. That makes sense that you would like him. I don't know why, but it just does.
Mikey's my guy.
Okay. So chapter 3, we're talking about, I mean, if you set aside everything else, we're talking about prepositions. So let's just think about English for a second. I went to the store, right? We use these all the time. This is for my wife, right? We walked away from the square. I don't know. From, right? Any of these prepositions, these little words that tell you things like direction, like, people always say don't end a sentence in a preposition. It's like, where are we headed to? Yeah, but to is the preposition. So it's all these direction words. So when we put these in English in a sentence, they always go before the thing that they're pointing toward, right? So we wouldn't say the store to. Yeah, and by the way, I just see Abby's comment. Absolutely. In fact, I think it's in the Chicago Manual of Style. Like, you can absolutely end sentences and prepositions. So don't let your teachers tell you that you can't.
Yep, that's why I dropped out of school. Fuck that.
Yeah, stupid teachers. I'm telling you, education's dumb.
Idiots.
So Sumerian is it's similar, right? It sort of uses prepositions, but it does it obviously a little bit differently. So the word to or toward, the preposition to or toward, is she3. Now, they don't do this. They don't say she3 uru. Uru means city, right? They don't say to the city like that, which is how we would want to see it. So to the city. What they do is they say uru she3. So what? And this is, we saw this with the genitive, right? So the genitive gets attached to the end. So if you remember, A2, lugal, ak, right? They call that a case ending. A case ending. Without going into a lot of detail, there are different cases in languages. So this case is called the genitive. You know about it already. Sorry. This one here, the word to or toward, this is this she3 thing. This is called the terminative. You can see terminate. It goes toward something to terminate at it. I don't know. I'm trying to think of how to remember that, but the terminative.
I'll just think of the Arnold.
There you go. How can I tie that to she? Well, anyway. So you have the terminative, you have the locative, you have the equative. Some of those are going to make more sense than others just because of the name. The equative, equate, equal. So it's like this equals this, but we'll see it as we come through. But the thing to remember at this point is that you'll have a noun, and at the end of it, they'll attach this thing called a case ending. Right? So again, if she3 means to or toward, and uru means city, then uru she3 would be toward the city. Right? That's what that means. So what we're going to do in this lesson is just kind of go through what the different case endings are. And I'll give you the names. And it's good to remember the names, but don't try to commit them to memory. I'll say them so often that it'll just lock in your memory as I say them. Like the genitive case. Don't go home and try to remember. Like, okay, the word genitive. Like, don't try to memorize that. Just, you'll hear me say it so much. Just, it's the word of. It's like of something. Okay. So don't like freak out if I say, what's the terminative ending? And you're like, as long as you can remember that she3 on the end of a word means to or toward, that's all you need to remember. That's the terminative, but that's what it means. Okay. So let's just go through these. Let me just show you the list of them quickly. Actually, you know what? That's not going to be useful. Maybe it will. Ra. This means to or for something. And I'll go into more detail about that later. Or a at the end of something is like at or near or like up close to, maybe. Ta is from. We already know she3, to or toward. Da, notice that I'm putting this little dash, should tell everybody that it's attached to the end. All these are attached to the end of stuff. This is with.
Hey, Josh, I have to interrupt real quick.
Please.
Moderators, just if there's one more negative thing about the Ninja Turtles said from the video, go ahead and put him in a timeout until, well, just forever. All right, proceed.
I was a little scared there for a second. I was like, whoa, what happened? Oh. So then you have which I'm sorry, like it's another one. This is the locative, and it means in or into something. And then my favorite, gin 7, which is like or as. But again, don't worry, I'm not asking anybody to remember these as I've said them. We're going to go through each one in more detail, but I just want you to see what the list looks like. But each of these, they're all the case endings. And again, they're endings because they go on the ends of things. and they show what case the noun is in. So if something's in the genitive case, this is a genitive ending. It's a genitive case ending. All that means is that this noun right here is in the genitive case. And you translate genitives of that word. So it's the house of the king. So the terminative case, just to go back to it, which is She3. All that means is when you see it, it puts this noun in the terminative case. And all that means is you're saying to or toward the city, to or toward that noun. That's all that means. So in the English sentence, I spoke to my dad. This is a dative. When you speak to someone, it's in the dative case. What that means is this preposition is putting this noun, or this noun phrase, in the dative case. That's all that means. To or toward something. To, like to speak to someone. That's all that means. So we have cases. It's just we don't generally talk about them. Okay. If that's a little foggy, that's all further I need you to be right now. Okay, so I'm just looking through what I've written here. All right, so let's just start going through them. The first one is the dative case. And the dative case is marked with ra. And that's how I'm going to say that. It's marked with. So if I said Lugal ra, and then I use the verb do 11. Do 11 means to say or to speak. He spoke to the king. That's all that means. So the verb to speak, he spoke to the king. After I do about 15 of these, you'll be like, oh my God, okay, I got it. It's no problem. So I'll just read this here because I think these little descriptions are probably pretty good. The dative case, or the dative case ending, ra, is translated to or for something. So, for example, you'll often see like a divine name. So Inanna, Enlil, whatever, and then ra attached to it. And then it'll say mu, un, do 3. And do 3 means to build. So he built it for, like he built the temple, or he built the boat, or he built the whatever, for that deity. That's all that is telling you. So to or for something, or it's someone. Okay, so the dative case ending ra is translated to or for and is only attached to humans or gods. In other words, you won't have like uru, which means city. You won't have uru ra to a city, because a city is not a person. It's not a god. It's not animate, as if you remember that from lesson 1, animate and inanimate. So things are inanimate, like your car, your computer, your pencil. Those are all things. They're inanimate things. In Sumerian, ra will only be attached to a a person or a god. And that'll be important to remember later. But okay, so if you wanted to say he spoke to Enlil, you would say Enlil Ra to Enlil. It is also very common for something to be built or made for someone. So he built the house for the king, you would say Lugal Ra, for the king. Right, he built the house for the king.
You would when we need the E2 in there?
Yeah. I'm sorry. So the full sentence would be.
Oh, okay, you were just okay. I understand.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So Lugal Ra A2 Mu Un Na On, if we wanted to write it really full, 2, 3. So to build, he built the house for the king. This is the only part you need to know right now. You can forget all this other stuff.
Okay.
For the king. So he built the house for the king. All right. Good. So you remember how I said that Ra will only be attached to nouns that are like people or gods?
Yep.
So then the question is, well, if you wanted to say to something that's not a god, what do you use? You use something that's called, for some god-forsaken reason, the locative terminative. In short, all the hip kids call it the lock term. Ooh, the lock term.
Did you guys catch that in the chat? Lock term.
That's what all the kids say.
Lock term.
And that case ending is the E, the letter E. Okay. So if the dative case ending Ra, so there's your dative, to or for, to a human or to a god, is attached to animate beings, and that's what animate means in Sumerian, a human or a god. Its counterpart for inanimate beings, animals, objects. For example, you'll see debates between like silver and copper, right? Or fish and bird. They'll debate each other. They'll talk to each other. Well, they don't mark when they talk to the bird or to the fish. And I haven't looked at this in a long time, but they don't mark it with Ra. They mark it with, I would imagine they mark it with this locative terminative, the letter E, A. Because that's what you put on things that are not humans or people. What's a good English example of this? Yeah, so a good thing. If you've ever heard somebody say, I was talking, what's the difference between I was talking to her and I was talking to it? What's the difference? What can you tell me about? Just in English. What does this tell you about what I was talking to?
I don't know who you're talking to.
All right. Would you say it about a person?
I
mean,
my ex-wife?
Under normal circumstances.
Oh. Other than my ex-wife, no, I wouldn't.
Right. So it's a pejorative, right? You're either saying something mean about someone, because we don't call people its. We talk about like the table or the lamp or my car as it. Right. So we make the distinction in how we talk about the pronouns that we use. We make distinctions between how we refer to talking to people and how we refer to talking to objects, right? So like you wouldn't say, I mean, dogs are kind of like that weird in between, right? Some people would say, hey, go tell it to come here, and that would be okay. And some people would say, hey, go tell her to come here, and that would be okay. But you don't ever say, I mean, unless, I guess some people like name their cars, right? But it sounds kind of weird when we say, oh, she's really purring, right? And you're like, right? You would think it's really purring because that's inanimate versus animate. So the same thing holds true in Sumerian. So if you were to say, I'm going to talk to the king, you would use Ra. And if you're going to talk to the sheep, Udu, A, right? And that's a little simplistic, but yeah. But it works for now. So that's the distinction. And we call that the locative terminative. And again, the cool kids call it the lock term.
Lock term.
The lock term. What questions do you have about that?
Is this real life?
That you're learning Sumerian and you get it? It's like, oh my gosh, I know Sumerian now, right? Is that what you mean?
Yes. Yep.
Yes. Awesome.
Yep.
All right.
No, no. So far, I think I'm good. Like I said, I watched your original video 20,000 times and had to read and reread about a dozen times. So I like everything you're saying. I've read and heard. I'm just trying to piece it all together. So.
Awesome. Well, those are the hardest ones. Those two are the hardest ones. They're behind you. Oz, they're behind you. You've got them, right? All the ones coming up are like super simple, right? You could just call it a day. You already know it. But we won't. We'll keep going.
Yeah,
right?
we should keep going.
All right. But seriously, the rest of these are a lot easier. There's a lot more nuance to the dative and the locative terminative. But the rest of these are reasonably straightforward. So the next one, how would you say from, the preposition from? Well, you use ta. And this is called the ablative case. Ablative. So if Uru means city and ta, the ablative ta means from, then what would this mean, Oz? Uru ta. Uru means city. How would you translate that?
What city you're from, or
close? It's just, you don't overthink it. It's just from the city. It's just the phrase from the city. So in the sentence, Lugal, you'll notice that I use certain words over and over again. It's because I'm trying to drive them into your head. So what does Lugal mean?
king?
Nice. There you go. Lugal, Uru, ta, verbal chain, nyen. And nyen means to go or to walk. So if this is in the past tense, we'll just say it's in the past tense. So walked or went. How do you think you translate this?
King.
The king.
The king walked
from
the city.
The city.
I couldn't.
And we would probably say, like, to smooth that out in English, we'd say, the king walked away from the city. Right? Very, very common. And if that's the case, Oz, while I got you here, if I wrote this, you would say, ah, Josh, so easy. Give me something challenging. This is the king walked
to or towards
the city. Brilliant. See how it works?
Yep, I'm done. We can stop now.
There you go. And that's all it is, right? That's it's as simple as that. So the king walked toward the city. The king walked away from the city. It's just you start here and you go backwards, right? That's all it is. Excellent. So the ablative ta, away from, we've already talked about the terminative. She3, which is towards something. Yep. Nothing much more to say there. The next one is called the comitative. Comitative. And this just means with something. Right. So like da by itself as a noun is like the side. Shut up, everybody.
Everybody
Okay.
remember, Dr. Josh's doctorate is not in art or
At all, actually. So
anything like that.
this side, like right here, this shaded area, the noun da means side, right? So what they're saying is you're like alongside something. So you're with something. So if I said lugal da, and da means side, but like the idea of da means side. So the way that's how they're thinking of this, da means with. So how would you translate this?
The king's side.
Let's do it the way we've been doing it. So we start here. So we start with translating da, which is with.
Oh, with the king.
Sorry, I confused. That was confusing. Yeah, I was just trying to give you a way to remember what da means, because da means somebody's side. So when they make it into a case ending like this, and they say that it means with, it's like alongside or with someone.
Yeah. No,
sorry, that was confusing. Yeah.
No, my ADHD brain just got stuck on the other one.
No.
Like I knew to start reading from the other side, but
yeah, no, it's good. This one was definitely on me. Okay. So we talked about the ablative ta, away from, the terminative she3, towards something, the comitative da, which means with.
That one's easy to remember. I'm with the homies.
There you go. See, this is how language memorization works. You come up with what was the one? So I'm trying to remember how I did this. Damn it, I can't remember what it was. There was some. It doesn't matter. I'll remember it and I'll say it later.
In this one, it's funny.
It's terribly confusing.
When I was creating for my brain to help memorize, Megan said this earlier when the first time you mentioned the Gen 7 just says to me, drink 7 gin and tonic. That's almost not quite. That's almost verbatim what I wrote down.
That's amazing.
Tobin, I'm going to give you the same warning we provided Theo. One more negative comment about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and we'll make sure the mods take care of you.
I remembered what it was, so I'll write it in English transliteration. But the Greek preposition para is from, beside, or alongside. And I have no idea why, at all. But in my brain, every time I hear it, I think from beside a long slide. From beside a long slide. And I have that was in 2003. From beside a long slide. So there you go.
That's deep, bro.
Is it? All right. So, okay. The locative. So we talked about the locative terminative. This is just the locative. And it means in or into. So it's like motion into something. So if I said a to what do you think that would mean? Where do we start? Do we start here or here?
Well, that's what I was into the house.
Yes, brilliant. You got it.
Ding, 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 ding.
So into the house. So you can say like the king walked into the house or into the city. Okay. And the last one is Gin 7, as you pointed out. I don't know a good way to
sipping on gin and juice.
The equative, and which is just like an equal sign, and this means like or as, right? So if somebody, Lugal Gin 7, oh, and that's the example that I use. Lugal Gin 7. What do you think that means?
Like the king.
Beautiful. You got it. That's it. So those case endings, and those are the major ones. There's one more that we need to cover. But these are the ones that are like the prepositions. Okay. All right. So this is just going to be memorization, like repetition. You'll see it, you'll see it, you'll see it. It's like Lugal. You know, you'll see it and see it and see it, and you'll just remember it. Okay. I'm going to take a second and do a little bit of Hebrew, a very small amount, because I think this is actually really important. There is a Hebrew word, et. And I'll just write it like this for now. But it appears everywhere in the Old Testament, and it never gets translated. And people have thought, oh my gosh, this is so amazing, because if you think about the two letters that make it up, this is Aleph. It's the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet. And this is Tav. This is the last letter of the Hebrew alphabet. And if you remember Alpha, I don't know why I decided to do one lowercase and one capital, but the Alpha and the Omega.
The beginning and the end.
So people have thought, oh my gosh, Jesus
oh my God.
is all throughout the Old Testament, and he's hidden because it's never translated. And they'll bring up like an interlinear, and they'll show everywhere that this word et shows up, that it doesn't get translated. And somebody preached a sermon on this, or like taught a big class to some big name person. Gag me with a spoon, right? Is that still a thing that people say? I don't know. Okay. What is it? Well, in the sentence, look, I can't not do it. I always write J-A-H. I don't know what it is. J-O-H. Johnny hit the ball. What is the ball in that sentence?
Oh, that's the subject. No, Johnny's the subject. That would be
right.
The
It's all right if you don't remember what specifically it's called, but like, what is it?
I don't.
It's the thing that's receiving the action. It's the direct object.
Yeah, that's it.
And if it has the word the in front of it, that means that they call that it's definite, as opposed to if it were a ball, that would be indefinite. Indefinite, like which one? We don't know. There are indefinite possibilities.
Like what God?
Yeah, exactly. But if you said the God, you'd say, oh, we definitely know which one you're talking about. So it's definite. Okay. Well, in English, how do we know that that's the direct object and not the subject? It's word order. That's all it is, right? Here's the verb. The thing that comes before the verb is the subject. The thing that comes after it is the direct object. This sentence will never mean there's a ball that hits Johnny. That's never what this sentence will mean. Okay. So we don't have to have like big arrows that point to the direct object, or we don't have to have, red arrows that point to, hey, this is the subject, because the big arrows that point to it are where they are in the sentence. That's how the language works. Not all languages work like this. Okay. In Hebrew, and again, you'll see why I'm doing this. The way that they tell you, the way that they point to the definite direct object of a sentence is they write that little Hebrew word et before it. All it is, it's like if you were to write a bunch of English sentences and people got really confused. They didn't understand word order anymore. That means like 1,000 years from now or something. And nobody knew, well, which one is the subject and which one's the object. And people started writing, okay, we're going to, what we're going to do? Oops. Right? We're going to put an arrow, a big red arrow that points to the direct object. Every time we write it, that's what we're going to do. Right? This is et. It's just an arrow that points and says, this is the direct object, a definite direct object.
God damn it, I thought it was Jesus.
It could be, I guess, but it's not. So why did I say that? Well, Sumerian does similar things. There are going to be things that you don't actually translate. They're just arrows that point you, that point out, hey, this is this and not that. That's all it's doing. All right. So don't find Jesus in the Old Testament like this. That's not a good idea. But remember it for what I'm getting ready to tell you. So we remember the difference. Do you remember the difference between transitive and intransitive? If you don't, that's fine.
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Do you want to tell me? Or?
It's like transferring, like I'm trying to think of a sentence. If I do
Johnny hit the ball. Transitive or intransitive?
Transitive.
Yes, brilliant. Samantha walks.
Intransitive.
Yes, great. Perfect. Okay. So what Sumerian does is it's different than English. In English, we don't put if Johnny, I almost did it again. Actually, I think I did. Jesus. Johnny hit the ball. We don't like move the word order around. Right? If it's an intransitive or a transitive sentence, Johnny is always before the verb. It always stays there. So what they say is, in linguistics, they would say it's marked the same way. The subject of the sentence, whether it's the subject of a transitive verb or it's the subject of an intransitive verb, it's marked the same way. They point it out in the language the same way. It comes before the verb. That's how they're marking it. It's how they're pointing it out. Well, Sumerian is different. If you had the sentence, Johnny walks, they would put no ending. Remember, this is intransitive. they would put no ending after the word Johnny to point to Johnny to say this is the subject of an intransitive verb. So the way that we write that, because we have to do this, I have no idea why. Instead of just leaving it blank, we put a little dot and we write a 0. Welcome to Assyriology. This is what we do.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, cool. Now we're going to put zeros in the equation.
Everywhere there's not something, we'll put something.
Yeah.
And the reason that they do that is because in the sentence, again in Sumerian, but Johnny hits the ball, they mark Johnny with an E. They put an E after it. And the reason that they do that is it's nothing more than like that word, that Hebrew word et. It's just an arrow saying, this is the subject of a transitive verb. That's all it's doing.
So Johnny, so the E wouldn't be pronounced, like you wouldn't.
Oh no, they say it. Yeah, they say it. But that's how they mark it. And right, Abby says it, and it's ergativity. This is the ergative marker. So let's put it in a Sumerian. Now that we kind of understand what's going on, let's put it into a Sumerian sentence. So if I said Lugal, verbal chain, Nyen, and Yen means to like walk or to go. 0. That's an intransitive verb, so they don't mark it. They don't put anything after it. So we put something after it, a 0, because we're special. Right? It gets worse, but it's not harder, it's just sillier. However, if we have Lugal, let's say A2, do 3, and I'm putting these here because there's a verbal chain that would go there that we haven't talked about yet, so I'm just leaving it. This means to build. A2 means house, Lugal means king. If the sentence is the king built the house, transitive or intransitive?
The king built the house, transitive.
Yes, so it gets marked with an E. And the only thing that E tells you for ergative is, hey, this Lugal is the subject of a transitive verb.
Got it.
Now, I'm going to throw something else at you. And actually, this doesn't come up until book 2. So, Oz, you are learning book 2 shit right now.
Oh,
come on, somebody. Y'all don't want to hear me preach up in here.
Hey, preacher.
They mark the direct object with a 0.
Oh my God. Say
now,
that, Pastor. Say that.
So think about this now. Think about it for a second. In English, what is marked differently? Let's do this. Johnny hit the ball. Johnny walks. What's the same? What's marked the same way? The subject or the object?
Subject.
Subject. They're marked the same way. What about in Sumerian? Are the subjects marked the same way?
No.
No. What is marked the same way? The subject of an intransitive verb.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And the object of a transitive verb.
Tricky.
So this will come up in book 2. There's Sumerian is something called a split ergative language. And it doesn't matter right now. But it's good to see this stuff sort of in passing. Again, don't try to commit that to memory, but just so you understand how this is how this is going together. So all that, or the big thing here, let's just break it down. The big thing here is this E for the ergative.
When you say that, I just keep hearing ergonomical, and I keep thinking about my wonderful ergonomical adjustable bed that massages my back.
There you go. There's got to be a way to do that, to tie those two things together. I'll let you work on that. All right.
Anyway.
So, all right. So let's talk about the last thing. And honestly, I know we're at the hour mark. We've done a lot of stuff. We could probably just hit a couple of these exercises real quick. Let me talk very quickly about the copula. Okay. The copula, the verb in English to be, like I am, he is, you are, right? All those linking verbs, they call them. They link two things together. They say this equals this. Sumerian has a verb like that, a to be verb. It's the verb may, which means to be. But very frequently they won't use it like in a normal sentence. Instead, what they'll do is they'll use this ending -3. And the way that it works, it's exactly the same. So let's say Shulgi, that's the name of a king. Lugal, 3. This just means is. That's all it is. That's all it is. So you would say Shulgi is king. Right? Now, this is the, obviously you can tell from is, you wouldn't say you is or I is. You would say he is or she is, right? But there's a way that there's an ending that means, so this is a third person, what they would say, third person. I don't know if we've talked about this or not, what the different persons are, first, second, third. We'll talk about that maybe next time. But the way that you say I am is me. Let me just write it as it is. Men. So this is I am. And actually, men is also you are. So if we saw Lugal, men, it could either be I am king or you, singular, are king. But that's how the copula works. It just gets attached to the noun, just like a case ending does. And it's normally written me'en for first, and second, I am, you are, and then 3 for the third person. He is or she is. And I think that's all I say about it down there. Yep. Does that make sense, just in theory?
Yeah, the only question I have on that, well, the last thing you had on your whiteboard there, you had the, whatever the name of the king was, and then
Shogi, yeah.
And then king, and then the whatever it was you had at the end there. Yeah, AM3. So would it not be, is that how you would write it out, with the name first and then king, or would it be? Okay.
So like you could put anything here. Oops. If there was a word for car, you could put car there. Shogi is a car.
Sweet. Good job, Sogi.
right? Shogi is magnificent.
So when we're using someone's name, then so we start with the name, then we do the loop-de-loop, the go and back. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, the king. You could put anything here. The king is magnificent.
Yeah, that's what your little.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep. Okay.
Just like with if this were Ak, of course that wouldn't make any sense. The king of magnificence, maybe. I don't know. Yes, and Amazu is your mother. That's right.
What are you trying to say, Theo? You're trying to say?
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right, well, let's just do a couple of these because I think we can. All right. And I think you're going to be like, oh my God, I'm so smart. Do we have time?
Ooh, yeah. Let's not set me up for too much here.
So let's just break this one down. Lu tu da. What's lu tu mean? Do you remember?
Oh, no. No, not without looking.
It's like a man or a person.
Okay.
So lu tu da. Da is the comitative, and it means with.
Oh, okay.
So how would you translate that?
With the man?
Yes. Beautiful. With the man. A2, She3. Now, A2, I don't even have to ask. You're probably not even translating it in your head. You're picturing what an A2 is, right? That's how much you know A2 right now.
Yeah. That's a house.
Yes. But you didn't have to translate it. See, that's the thing. You're like, oh my gosh, I know what it is so innately now.
It's in my brain.
There you go.
And then the so
you got it.
Oh, I can see it on the paper. That's not clear. To the house.
Yes, to the house. So the king walked to the house. All right. I'm going to save the next one and go to this one. Don't worry about this for now. But this means to go or to walk. And it's in the past tense. You can translate that. Went.
The king went to the house.
Yes. What about this?
And that is...
So this is the locative?
Oh, yeah.
And what does the locative mean?
Into.
Yes. Brilliant. In or into, I guess to say we write that. So the king walked or went into the house or into the temple, just so everybody knows. House and temple just depends on the context. Okay, this is a good one. This will be the last one that we do. This one's going to be tricky.
Oh boy.
We're going to talk about all of it.
Na.
All right. So again, this is that's part of the verbal chain. That's the verbal prefix. This is all the verb, but don't worry about the verbal prefixes right now. This means to say or to speak, and you can translate this in the past tense. So, Enlil, what does this D tell you? You remember? What word is it representing?
Determinative.
Not that it's a Sumerian word,
Oh yeah, God.
right? So it's the dinger sign. And what that tells you, oh, sorry. Yes. Yes, it's a divine determinative. Sorry, that's what you said. That's exactly right. So it's a divine determinative, and all it's another one of these arrows, right? It's just saying, hey, pay attention. This is a deity coming
God
up.
damn it, I did get it right.
Nice job. Nice job. So the same thing here. So Nana is another deity.
Okay.
What is this?
Which one again?
This, sorry, right here.
That is, I know this. You can always say it about a god or a person.
Yep.
And it is like with or two or something like that.
Two. Yes.
Yeah.
So with would be da. But this is two, and it's called the dative. And it's very frequently used in speaking. You speak to someone. So this means to Enlil. This is a verb spoke. So that let's just plug in what we know as we go through this, right? So we've got spoke to Enlil.
Okay.
What do you think we're missing?
Probably who?
Yeah, the subject, right?
Yeah.
Nana, the deity, spoke to Enlil.
Oh, got it.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
There you go. You are translating Sumerian.
Like a novice, but yeah, we're getting there.
Well, we are over the hour limit. I want to respect everybody's time. But what questions do you have? Or are there any quick questions that people have in the chat?
Yeah, if anybody has a question, go ahead and plug them in there. I'm trying to think if I had any. Not that I can think of right now. Most of the stuff that kind of had my brain hung up, you did a good job of slowly taking me through it today. So I think I'm
awesome. Good. Well, good deal, man. You did a great job. It's clear you've been looking this over. Like it's definitely sinking in.
Yeah,
which is awesome.
I've been getting to. I can't come on here live on my own YouTube channel and be fucking this up. But no, I really am enjoying it. It's
good.
Because after this, I already took. Now I'm gonna have to take you up on the Greek and what you call it, Hebrew thing.
Hell yeah!
So
there you go.
Cool. Well, Josh, you and Megan got anything coming up you want to share before we go?
I'm getting ready to go on Captain Dadpool's channel tonight.
Sweet.
In 20 minutes.
Nice.
Yes, it is the oldest written language. Sorry, I see it in the side chat there. Sumerian is the oldest written language. We beat the Egyptians. They.
Here we are.
But here we are. Our earliest writing dates back to the 4th millennium. Oddly enough that we have that stuff, given that there was this worldwide flood. I don't know what happened.
Abby said she had questions, but she'll look them up.
Yeah, so the Hamtu and Maru We'll talk about that. The big thing to remember at this point for anybody that's at this stage of learning, if you're already at Hamtu and Maru, Hamtu is the past tense, Maru is the present future. It's not that simple, but that's complex enough for right now.
I don't need any more complexity right now. This is enough.
There you go. You're doing well. Seriously.
Thank you. And
thank you.
I'm just here to make my family proud and do the best I can, learn other languages and make big money like Dr. Josh.
So Abby, very, very quickly, the aspect, like, I don't actually deal with this until book 2 because you don't really need it until then. But the aspect is it's more about perfective versus imperfective. So Hamtu is more like action that's completed, and Maru verbs are like progressive. They're durative. It's the difference between like taking a picture and taking a video. The Hamtu is like a picture, a still photograph. The Maru is like a video clip. That's the difference. Sort of.
That's different, sort of.
I mean, it's very simplistic, but I mean, it's pretty close.
We'll take one more because this is probably an easy answer. Is there mathematical problems in Sumerian? Yeah,
no doubt. All kinds. In fact, the person to read about that is Eleanor Robeson, Robson, Eleanor Robeson. She's one of them. Does all kinds of stuff with mathematics and seriology. Not what I do. At all.
Well, as always, Josh, thank you very much for giving us your time today and taking us through Sumerian, and everybody in the chat, thank you for hanging out. We'll be back same time, same channel next week at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. And if you want, you can join us tomorrow night for the TANG live call-in show. And until then, we'll holla.
Yeah. It's the TANG gang. Yeah, it's the TANG gang. TANG gang. It's the TANG gang. TANG gang. Yeah, it's the TANG gang. TANG gang. Yeah, it's the TANG gang. TANG gang. Yeah, it's the TANG gang. Yeah. It's the TANG gang. TANG gang. TANG gang. TANG gang. Yeah, it's the TANG gang. Yeah, I got an idea. Let's take these beliefs and bad ideas and let's stack them up. Stack them up and see if these people can back them up. And if not, this is what you can do, is just pack them up and go on your way. Cause you should have known, everybody at TANG, we don't play now. Yeah, we need that evidence. We need that evidence to make shit relevant. So what you saying? What you saying, man? Can you prove it? What you doing? Let's do it. Y'all already know. Y'all already know. TANG gang. 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 Y'all already know. Y'all already know. TANG gang.